Hi, welcome back to my channel. I'm Stacy. I'm a flight attendant. I work for a major mainliner carrier, and I noticed that you guys seem to really be interested in a lot of the flight attendant videos, and so I decided to include on my channel some flight attendant videos as well. And I guess I kind of want to start, I think a lot of times you hear flight attendants and they're telling you about the actual interview for getting the job as a flight attendant, but I don't necessarily know if I've heard in all of the channels that I've watched. I don't necessarily know that if I've heard any that have talked about the real actual process. Once you have been selected as a candidate and you've gotten past that interview process, they do have a pretty extensive background check. And I'll be honest, if you were stealing with Ray Ray and Pookie Man, you probably won't get this job. So the background check is pretty extensive. And it doesn't mean that you can't or won't get the job based on if you do have a charge or there's something on you do have some type of a criminal record. But I'll be very honest, overall, they're looking for, pretty egregious things. So there are people that have gotten this job and they've had some minor infractions. And it could be stealing the candy bar, and you still, you did something as a juvenile, and you still managed, to get it off your record. I would try and say if there's anything that you feel that would be, that would hold you or keep you from being a flight attendant or getting the job, I would definitely try and get that taken care of if you can get it expunged. Before you get into the process, because most of these jobs, when you do get hired on, I know with my company, it's all a conditional. So everything is conditional based on lots of different things. It's conditional based on if you can pass a background check. It's pretty much what they're going to be looking for, and if you can pass that, usually you're in. One of the other things that I would suggest would be, let's get real, passport. You need to get a passport. And passports are pretty expensive. They usually start out maybe about $175. And if you have to get it expedited, meaning that you need it in a hurry, because a lot of times when you do go off to training, they do have an expectation that when you come to training that you will be coming to training with your passport. So an expedited passport can run you almost up to $250. So that's a pretty expensive. So I would say just get your passports. Even if you're not doing a lot of traveling, you never know, at some point you may travel, whether you get this job or not. I would definitely, start working on getting my passport so that when they do call you, you will actually go to training with your passport. Another thing would be drug testing. You are going to be drug tested, okay? My company drug tests you on the very first day that you get to training. So meaning that before you ever set foot in that classroom, you are actually going to be tested. If you do not pass, you will not go into the classroom. So you are going to be drug tested. They are looking for pretty much the gamut of opioids, any ambient, any of those things. So I will want you to know, because I've not heard anyone say that, but you are going to be drug tested. And once you do get in this field, in this industry, you will be drug tested randomly. It's just inevitable. So I tell people all the time, you just have to be careful in terms of knowing that, you cannot be doing drugs. This is not a job, because it's all about safety. So this is one of the jobs that there is zero tolerance when it comes to drugs and being drug tested. Let's see, tattoos. My company does not particularly, they will not hire tattoos if you have them and they are visible. And when I say visible, that means that you cannot cover them up. Say if you've got a tattoo on your face and you can't cover it with makeup, on your neck, your legs, as long as you're able, if you can cover them up, you will get this job. You will be. I was in training with a young lady that she had complete sleeves, and we did training in Houston, and it was sometimes 110 or 107 degrees, and she had to wear tights every day and long sleeves just to cover up her tattoos. She got the job because you couldn't see them. But once she was in a swimming suit, she had sleeves on her, tattoos all down her legs and everything. If you're able, as long as you can cover them up, that's not a problem. You will be able to be successful in getting this job. One of the other things about this job, and I tell people, you will spend more money before you even get this job than you will imagine. The fact that you're going to have to get a passport. The next thing would probably be quality shoes. And I'm saying you won't need your in-flights until you're actually out there, you've completed training. But I would say a good pair of in-flights, a good pair of high heels, the shoes that you're walking in the airport in. I would definitely look at Zappos, Clark's, Naturalizers, the walking store. And I know sometimes people, they don't want to spend a lot of money, but remember this, you are on your feet most of the day when you are working, and the night. So a good pair of shoes is going to be everything. I believe my in-flights, when I first bought my first pair, I think they were $170, but I had a discount and I got a coupon. So I think when it was all done and said, I ended up getting them for like $140. And for those of you who don't know, in-flights are the actual shoes that you're wearing once you're on the plane and in the air flying. So when you're doing your regular flight attendant duties in the air on the plane, because that's where you're walking the most, up and down aisles, pushing bar carts, that's where you're going to need those shoes. I would say you will probably wear your in-flights out sooner than you'd wear your heels out. And then you also have your, most airlines, and particularly I know my airline, they definitely like for you to have a nice pump on. I can't remember, I think it's maybe 3-inch, at least minimum 3-inch heel. You will need a good pump, because if you've been in any of the airports, we have some very large airports. O'Hare's large, but it doesn't compare into, I would say, Dulles, Atlanta, Houston, San Fran. We have some very big airports, and when you're walking in heels, you need a shoe that's gonna support you and, you know, just support your feet. So I would definitely say you're gonna invest, the first investment will be a good pair of heels, because you'll probably use those throughout your, once you're in training. So definitely, and also the same thing, you probably would spend a good $140 on your shoes. So I would definitely, and probably look into a good podiatrist, because when I first started, one of my biggest complaints was always my feet hurt, my feet hurt, my feet hurt. But once I realized that, you know, getting a good shoe, getting the right support, it just worked out. It made a world of difference to me. I would also say, and you're going to be investing in some vitamins. Keep in mind that you are flying every day in a tube, and there is no fresh air, there are no windows that you can open to get fresh air. You are inhaling recycled air every day, and that means if you've got just one person on that plane and they have a cold and they're sneezing and sniffling and touching things, you are very susceptible to catching that. So I would definitely say a good multivitamin, and just washing your hands a lot. It helps tremendously to be able to fight off the germs and the bacteria, because you will get sick. When I first started, I was sick all the time. I mean, it was a combination for me of just germs and motion sickness. So I know probably it took my body about a good 6 months to a year to really build up my resistance to be able to fight off a lot of the germs, just fight off a lot of the motion sickness. And even to this day, and I've been flying now almost 8 years, I still have a tendency to get motion sickness. If weather is a little too choppy in the plane, there's a little too much turbulence sometimes, it will make you queasy. I found myself carrying a lot of peppermint, ginger. They work tremendously well. You know, just pop a mint in your mouth or something like that and it soothes that stomach. So definitely you will be investing in some good vitamins. I would also say one of the biggest things that you are going to also invest in will be, and paying for once you complete training, is your uniforms. I know with my company, I believe when I started, it was like $750. And that comes out of your paycheck. I believe it was like, it averaged out to like about maybe 20 bucks a paycheck. And that $750, I think, I'm not sure about other airlines, but I know with my company, they don't just give you the uniform and you just start wearing it and working. It was 750 bucks, and I believe you got, because I wasn't a real skirt girl or a dress girl, more pants for me because I'm always cold. I think I got like a blazer, I think maybe 2 pairs of slacks, a skirt, maybe 4 shirts, a scarf, your name bar. You got your rollerboard, which is your tote. So that's what all came in that $750 package. And for me, when I started, our company changed over to new uniforms, I believe 2 years after I started. So, and I thought it was a little unfair, you know, that I still had to pay $20 every pay period for that uniform, and we couldn't even wear that uniform. I thought that was unfair. You know, I can't even wear this uniform and I'm still having to pay for it. But that's neither here nor there now. But once you paid that and it's all taken care of, if the company does change the uniform or whatever, every year we get what they call points. You get a certain amount of points to be able to purchase new pieces, you know, new blouses, pants, whatever it be, to, you know, to go along with your uniform, add to it if it's sweaters or whatever. So we get a total of 75 points every January the 1st, and we have to use all of our points by December the 31st of that same year. They don't roll over. They used to roll over, but they don't anymore. So if you don't use them, you lose them. So usually, I would say in most cases, usually around July or September, I'll go in and I'll just start ordering stuff just to be able to use up my points. And you always need things, but I'm usually one that I order throughout the year. You know, I don't like my uniform to look all fraggy and, you know, torn. I like for it to look a certain way, so I try to make sure that everything is good and fresh with that uniform. Those are just some of the things, some of the costs involved before you really even get the job, with the exception of your uniforms. And I keep looking over because I made some notes so that I could kind of cover these things, because I really want to be able to give you guys the real deal of becoming a flight attendant, is this something you really want to do? Because I know sometimes people look at flight attendants and they think it's this really wonderful dream job. You're flying all over the world. You're seeing everything. You are flying, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you are flying international. Sometimes you could just be flying locally, which is domestically. And so I want to be able to give you the real deal of what it's really like. I want you to have the good along with the negatives. And I'll be honest, there are a lot of positives with this job, but you also have some of the negatives. And I find that sometimes people don't want to share those things. And I don't know if it's because they think that you're going to seem like a, just a complaining person. But I like for people to be able to make an informative decision that if this is really the job that you want to do. And so I would like, you can leave it in the comment section or my Instagram, if there are more questions that you want to ask about certain things, and then I can try and answer those things. But I'm hoping to be able to cover these things, in just my vlogs in general, and touch on some of the things, that are the pros and the cons of this job. And if you like what I've had to say, and please subscribe. I'm just starting this channel, and I'd appreciate it, and I really want this channel to be a success. Okay, see you around. Bye.